The truth about Prince Naseem and Brendan Ingle that may not be in the movie. Well, first of all, what is truth? Surely truth is subjective. There's this person's truth, there's that person's truth, and then perhaps there is the truth. From Dominic Ingle's perspective, we're going to look at his truth. I'm always been impressed with Dominic Ingle. I'm the son of Brendan Ingle. I think he's a great trainer. And he does some really good, insightful interviews as well. He has some great dry humor. Check out his interaction with Bomac. That was a great, funny interaction. And as I was watching an interview with Dominic Ingle, he was talking about the Naseem Hamed film, the biopic, I believe it is. And he was talking about the business of boxing. And I believe that the part of the issues between Naseem Hamed, the unfortunate issues between Naseem Hamed and Brendan Ingle, was part of the business. And here's an important part here, and the context is specifically is about Naseem Hamed's brother. But Dominic Ingle makes a point that, people don't generally go to business school. And even if they did go to business school, they don't teach the business of boxing, which is constantly evolving. And that made me think, what is the business of boxing? What is the business of boxing, and how do you become effective in the business of boxing? How do you be good at the business of boxing? Is there like an effective guide on how to be good at the business of boxing, or do you literally just go on the front line and you just figure it out as you go along? Boxing is about people. And as Dominic Ingle states, from most boxers' perspective, and he would know because he's trained many boxers, they look at the money. The money is important. And he explained, specifically with regards to Naseem Hamed's family, that they did not know how to deal with the boxing infrastructure. And when I say the boxing infrastructure, we're not just talking about the boxing business. We're talking about the other stuff, like arranging a camp, sorting out the actual infrastructure that needs to be done before a fight. And perhaps this was where the problems start. Of course, when you talk about money, when people become successful, when people become popular, money is always, always an issue. Going back to the film, Dominic Ingle states that the films were predicated on stories that they told the directors. It's interesting to establish who they are. And those people, I'm assuming that were in the gym at the time that Naseem was in the gym, they told the director hours and hours of stories that were pertaining to Naseem Hamed's fights, to the actual fights, to what happened behind the scenes, etc. And from there, and I think this is interesting, the director chose what he wanted to use, and a lot of it was not used. So in a sense, if you look to like the metaphor of an exhibition, the director was like the curator. He decided I wanted that painting and that painting, but not that one. So the film is like, essentially, it seems to be the perspective of people around Prince Naseem Hamed. So in a sense, you can say that the film has truth, but it may not be Naseem Hamed's truth, because we all look at life and experience life from a different perspective or from a different jungle. We see the same things in different ways. Very rarely do you see a situation and everyone recollects it in the same specific way. So I guess it's about understanding Naseem Hamed, the fighter, but you're understanding him from the perspective of others as opposed to the perspective in his mind. And according to Dominic, the poetic license, so the elaboration on the films, or the elaboration in the film, is the poetic license. The foundation of the poetic license was based on serious truths. And let's remember that dramatization is part of making a film, as truth is often compromised for the purpose of entertainment. Is that right? Is that wrong? At the end of the day, the premise or the intention of the director is to provide an awesome experience on the screen. And I think everyone can understand that. I guess it's the way you nurture that truth, and how do you twist it? Do you create a false narrative that makes someone look bad, or do you just create a narrative to make a big situation even bigger? So that to me was an interesting point. And one thing that Dominic Ingle stated was that Brendan, Naseem and Johnny, these were three individuals, and they had a very private relationship. Even people in the gym didn't fully understand that relationship. And Dominic states that his father, Brendan Ingle, he just was so committed to his fighters. He was committed to his people, and he helped lots of people. But when he walks away for good. There's no coming back. I guess it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing. We're all different and we all have our reasons. One thing that he stated, and I think it's important to remember Brendan Ingle, is that Brendan Ingle gave his fighters confidence. He believed in his boxers and he gave them that belief. So some boxers may have lacked belief, but in the Brendan Ingle boxing environment, they would gain that belief. And it made me think about the importance of belief and mindset. The importance of belief and mindset. To achieve great things, you first have to have great confidence. And it seems like Brendan Ingle understood that. And I think that's a great thing. And he must have inspired so many people's lives, not just Prince Naseem Hamed. Clearly he did inspire his life and he took him to the highest of the highs. But he must have inspired so many other people with that mindset. And how important is that mindset? How important is that for society, for individuals, for communities? But now let's get back to this point that's been made time and time again. Why did Naseem have no input in this movie? Why did he have no input in this movie? And was it ethical? Was it a case of the people close to the film just didn't want to collaborate with Naseem Hamed? And is that right? Is it wrong? Is it, why would you not consult, if not the main star, one of the main stars of the film? Because from what I've been told, the film is based around two characters, Naseem Hamed and Brendan Ingle. Obviously, we can't speak to Brendan Ingle, but you can speak to Naseem Hamed. Is it that people thought that Naseem Hamed was too much of a complicated character, or was there just too much history? And I guess there's subjective truths and objective truths, but what may be an objective truth, or what may be very hard to debate, is that Naseem Hamed and Brendan Ingle, they gave so much to boxing. They gave an incredible impact. Naseem Hamed was harvested in the boxing environment that Brendan Ingle created, and he reached such a high. The ring walks, the knockouts, the charisma, the charm. Him being an icon, like a global superstar, he was huge. People don't give him enough credit. And I feel like, boxing is entertainment, but within the framework of entertainment is real life. And in the framework of real life is sadness, it's glory, it's bereavement, it's the laughs when things go well, but then the downs. And everyone's life will have these various chapters. But then it's important to remember how great Naseem Hamed was. But it's also important to remember how great Brendan Ingle was. And also how great the cultural relevance of the Ingles Gym. And I just thought about this recently, today. It's not just the importance of a person, it's the importance of a gym. But why? That's the question. Why is it the importance of the gym if it's not just the individuals? A gym has the ability to change a culture or harvest a culture. It has the ability to change people. And in changing people, it can give them hope. It can give them discipline. It can give them the ingredients, the recipe for success, to be a better person. Even if you don't become a world champion or a British champion and a European champion, if you stepped into that gym and you got discipline, then you were given value. You were given something of value. And that's an amazing thing. And I'm sure that that's still happening because the Ingles Gym is still there. Now, I believe, being run by Dominic. And I think it's important to acknowledge both of these individuals, what they've done individually and collectively, but also being able to acknowledge the power of a boxing gym, of when a boxing gym is done right, when people care enough to try and instill confidence, instill discipline, instill character, instill bravery. This can really change the minds of the people and really change society. And that's an observation that I took from this.